Welcome to Architects of Transformation, a series where we explore the systems and leadership decisions that shape the next iteration of digital transformation in the UAE. I'm Jennifer George, correspondent at MIT Sloan Management Review Middle East, and this episode is brought to you by DoTech. In a region defined by ambition, organizations are reimagining how they work, serve, and grow. Their stories often begin with a question: how can technology move us forward? Organizations are beginning to rethink the systems that build, connect, and secure their digital foundations. But this transition is not reliant on technology alone. It is also influenced by the questions that leaders must confront. In this episode, we look at how the UAE is reshaping the future of banking through next-generation digital technologies. Joining me is Thomas Cherian, Chief Information Officer at Commercial Bank of Dubai, who is leading the bank's transformation from a traditional institution to a digital-first financial platform. Welcome, Thomas.
Thank you, Jennifer. Pleasure to be here.
I'd like to begin by understanding the unique conditions that set the UAE as an ideal testing ground for the next generation of banking technologies.
If you look at UAE as a country, there is a lot of investment that's happening around the infrastructure space. When you talk about modern digital technologies, infrastructure is key. Just looking at the network that's available today in the country, UAE has already adopted and has already transitioned into a 5.5G network, and DO has played a big part in that. This allows for banks, or for that matter, any institution, to develop best-in-class digital technologies to take it to their customers. That's the first point, I would say. The second one is that if you look at the country has got a wide variety of culture and people within the country who are living. So the acceptance of digital technologies for people who are coming from various parts of the world, that's extremely high. So people are no more looking at basic functionalities that is required from a digital delivery. The third, I would say, is the kind of leadership and the vision the nation has. The leaders have this for this nation, is extremely critical, and that's very critical for any country for that matter. And UAE is positioned really at the top if you look at it. So if you look at Central Bank of UAE is driving a financial infrastructure transformation program, which is fast-paced, directly in line with the national agenda of we at 2031. There is a digital agenda for the nation. From an AI perspective, there is a lot of investment that's happening in the country. And all of this helps not just banks, but all the institutions, not just to perform, but to thrive in this country, right? So that's what I would say, why UAE is best positioned.
Now, given these conditions and these very favorable investments that the UAE is making in terms of its digital transformation, CBD has also transitioned from a traditional bank to a digital-first platform. I'd like to better understand, how has this transition influenced your operating model and also your growth strategy?
Probably we are one of the first banks to realize that products are no more a unique selling point in the banking industry. We have realized, and we have realized it for some time already, that what it matters is the customer experience. So if you look at any bank that's operating in the country, they have specific set of products. The way we deliver the product and the services is what that matters, and that's the reason for the customers to choose a bank. We have realized this, we have understood this, and we have completely shifted our operating model from a product-centric organization to a platform-centric organization. What does that mean? We are looking at what the customers need. How do we serve our customers? How do we make sure that the customers promote the brand? That's what we are looking at. For this, the foundation. It's technology is no more an enabler. Technology is an accelerator for this. We look at data, and we look at data very, very carefully to see how can we hyper personalize our services to our customers, right? So that's what the shift that has happened in CBD's operating model. We operate in a completely agile fashion, as I mentioned, from product to platform. That has changed. Putting customers in the center of everything that we do has helped us prosper in the market.
This transition from a product to platform service is very interesting to CBD's story. And I'd like to better understand, what does platform thinking mean for a bank like CBD? And how has it probably changed the way that you design your products, deliver services, and also collaborate with your partners?
Platform thinking for us means we define and design solutions that are modular in nature. It's extremely important for us to play in an ecosystem where there are fintechs, where there are other third parties who are available in the market. It's extremely important for banks today to integrate with these players, the fintechs as well as the third party players. The platform concept and the design and definition of today we looking at platforms have helped us do this aspect. While delivering platforms or products through platforms, services through platforms, we are able to collect data. This data has helped us to serve the customer better, has helped us to understand what is the need for the customer, why the customer has come to us, right? The third thing is that this has also helped us increase the reliability of our services to the customer. And this in turn has got a positive impact on the customer experience.
You know, it's very fascinating that you mentioned that a modular nature is something that you've adopted as a result of adopting this platform first way of working. Now, many banks in the UAE that have legacy systems often struggle with innovation. I'd like to understand, what are the specific legacy constraints that CBD needed to overcome? And how did you sequence your transformation to minimize disruption?
We at CBD started our technology strategy refresh program back in 2023. We looked at what's there in the bank, which is serving our customers, the entire technology landscape, and we divided that into three specific layers. Systems of engagement, which are customer touch points, the integration layer, which is right in the middle, and systems of record. We started off our transformation journey by modernizing our integration layer. We wanted to make or build an integration layer which is modern, API enabled, and cloud native. After completing that transformation, we moved on to changing our systems of engagement as well as systems of record. And this was kind of done in parallel.
Okay.
That's how we faced our transformation, the tech strategy refresh or the tech transformation journey. And I also would like to touch upon the point that you mentioned about legacy. For me, legacy is not bad. Legacy systems give us a lot of insights. They have been running the business logic for the banks for years, and there's a lot of things to learn. Of course, there are a lot of problems associated with that, but then it's to see how do we tackle those problems. Re-architecting some of the legacy systems, re-hosting some of the legacy systems, but the data that it's carrying within the business logic layer is of immense use for the bank. And that's exactly what we have done at Commercial Bank of Dubai.
I'd like to touch base on your strategic partnership with DoTech and why a hybrid cloud model, which was built together with DoTech, was the right approach for both protecting your sensitive financial data while also enabling innovation.
As I mentioned back in 2023, when we started our transformation journey, one of the things that we picked up was our data center. Now, data center is where we run all our applications. Our entire technology runs on that. So we used to own and host our own data center. We partnered with Do to build a private cloud infrastructure for Commercial Bank of Dubai. And that's been live for the last 6 months plus. We are extremely happy with the way it's working for us today. Today, if you look at, we have been on public cloud. Prior to 2023 itself, we have been on public cloud. But we decided that for some of our core systems where we need scaling, we wanted to make sure that the data is protected and it's secure. And that's one of the reasons why we went for a private cloud infrastructure. And Do, as one of the leading providers of sovereign cloud infrastructure in the country, was the reason for us to choose Do. And they have delivered on the promise. And we have been working very closely with the team. And it's a journey. It's just started. And then we are looking at how do we progress from what we started to the next level.
I'd like to also dive a little bit deeper in terms of customer behavior. Now, from onboarding to servicing, where do you see the most significant shift in customer behavior as a result of CBD's digital transformation?
Customer behavior is changing day by day. And that's a fact. And that's something that you need to accept. With the advent of mobile phones, with the advent of all kinds of apps that are there on the mobile phone, the way customer looks at a service is changing, and banks have to change. Some organizations or some banks, for example, think only about onboarding journey. But what we have looked at is not just the onboarding journey. We have looked at the entire life cycle for the customer, onboarding to servicing, right? That's what we have looked at, and we have seen that the customer experience is extremely critical, not just at onboarding. It's very, very important for us to service the customer, to fulfill the promise that we have given at the onboarding stage, to continue that servicing journey so that the customer sticks with us. And that's extremely important in this market. The market is very, very competitive, right? There are banks, all the banks are undergoing a digital transformation. Everybody is trying to compete. And as I mentioned, the only differentiating factor is the customer experience. We have moved away from physical branches to digital touchpoints. And the digital transformation journey for us is not just the digital channels. As I mentioned in your previous question, we moved from a product-centric organization to a platform-centric organization. That has helped us a lot. Our operating model within the bank has changed. The way we collaborate with internal stakeholders have changed. The way we address customer issues have been completely changed. We do run specific programs for process re-engineering, and these programs are not fixed for a time. These are business as usual for us. We look at problems and fix them forever so that we don't get to see these problems recurring. We enhance journeys on a continuous basis. So there is a continuous development, continuous feedback that we take, and an iterative development or deployment is what we are looking at. And that's how we have been able to enhance the customer experience for the bank. The work that we have done in terms of enhancing the customer experience has definitely resulted in a positive way for the bank's performance as well. And I'm sure you would have seen the recent announcement which stated that we are the only bank in the market today who have recorded a industry-leading 21 quarters of net profit growth.
That's quite commendable.
Yeah.
Just to touch on the value of strategic partnerships, how do you ensure that these partnerships stay strategic and future-focused rather than becoming transactional over time?
A very interesting question. And it's very, very important to look at what is the long-term goal. Right, and as I mentioned, the partnership that we have with Do, it started off with a reason, and the reason was for us to build a private cloud infrastructure. And as I mentioned, it's a journey. It's not the goal. to build a private cloud infrastructure for us. For me, from a CIO perspective, the most important point that we need to look at in a partnership is the governance model. Okay, we will have to have a strong governance around the partnership to look at what's happening on both sides. Definitely, there will be areas of improvements that has to be looked at from both sides, just from the client and the supplier, or that's the partnership all about. That's the first thing. The second thing is, as I mentioned, it's a journey, and hence you need to draw a roadmap, create milestones that needs to be achieved, and that has to be communicated properly across the teams. The third thing for any partnership to be successful is the transparency. Transparency both ways, right? What we need, we should be communicating, and what are the constraints or what are the issues, that has to be communicated from the partner as well, so that we do understand and we tackle that problems together. And that's what I would say as the 3 points to make a partnership successful.
Now, while I am aware that you view legacy often as a positive thing, it is often given the label of a barrier. Could legacy be viewed also as a strategic asset if modernized correctly?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's what I was saying. When you talk about legacy, what's in it in the legacy is the data. The business logic has been in the bank for several years. It has been processing and servicing customers for several years, and you have that data. And today, data is the biggest asset any organization can have. Because it's legacy, because the technology might be outdated, there can be issues with the data. There can be data quality issues. You need to see how do we overcome as an organization these data quality issues, but then look at how do we re-architect these solutions, how do we re-architect these legacy platforms so that you can use that to serve the customer in a better way, right? So I don't look at legacy systems or legacy applications as a barrier. I do see them as an asset. They have to be taken care very carefully, and they have to be modernized extremely cautiously.
I think today's conversation has been hinged on the fact that data is the foundation of any kind of transformation. And I think you've been an advocate for that and how it can actually be used in the favor of these so-called legacy systems, which often are viewed as constraints or often treaded with caution when it comes to any kind of collaboration. So thank you, Thomas, for all of your insights. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Pleasure here. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Architects of Transformation. As we continue to explore the stories behind the nation's most significant digital advancements, we invite you to stay with us.